I'm super stoked you're here, actually, Nick, because, we're going and making the voyage over to the US frequently. Now to have someone here from the PCA, and especially yourself as the, you just stepped down as the chair, as the PCA. You did an amazing job there. Obviously, I didn't know the PCA prior to your appointment as the chair, but I saw definitely 1,000,000% your discipline and your restructure, and you kept the froth going. Brought that little Nick Slavik little, little touch. I've still got your shirt. I think I sent you a selfie one time with me wearing your shirt in the snow.
I got more for you guys too. No,
I heard. I was speaking his pages.
That was super cool. But definitely, it's so cool to have someone from the US here. Seeing our Australian market, obviously, it's so small compared to the US, but there's so many things that we say when we come back from the US about how, this big cliche, like-minded we all are as painters, but it's the truth. We've all got the same problems. We all have the same tone of voice. We all talk about the same solutions, and we all love paint.
We all love paint, and we've all traveled. I've been to Dubai, I've been to Sao Paulo, I've been here, I've been all over the United States, Canada, all these other things, and it all boils, minus the few little labor laws and things like that, it's the humans, they all struggle the same things. The stuff you guys talk about here is 100% transferable, and that the stuff that we talk here is, it's all the same. So it's an honor to be here, especially with the first day of the strategy and vision session for the accredited painters program, because it's basically just like what the PCA does. You guys have your own flavor, but again, when we filled the whiteboards up with Post-it notes and all those things, you could have taken that right to our PCA boardroom, and it's the same things we're working on.
Totally. So, and what I love about being in this forum too is not only are we around like-minded painters from all different walks of life, but everyone's frothing to build and scale sustainable, successful businesses. And that's what keeps my drive going. You know what I mean? Because I'm such a froth. Like, I love that. And it gets me going.
Excited,
And sometimes I get a bit bogged down when you've got these weapon painters. They're weapon painters, but they're not business owners.
They get bogged.
And then I've got to go break through this one barrier first to get them into, the business mentality. But when you come into these forums, they're already past that.
Everybody's you don't need to say a bunch of stuff. We're already at this level already.
And they're already ears are pricked.
Yeah.
So then you just straight
and
bouncing.
Keen.
And rather than having to go through that breakthrough, And that's why I love going on the PCA, because American, man, all the...
It's just scale for us.
Man, for me, seriously. Not only have I got my eyeballs are like dinner plates because I'm like, holy shit, I'm in America. But everyone...
Well, I remember when I came to the office, was November a couple of years ago, and you told me about you went to the November PCA. It might have been the contractors one.
Reconnaissance mission.
So I came down to his office.
Go suss it out.
Had a chat, and you go, Taz, you got to come. I said, what's this about? Da, 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 da. We booked, we came, and it blew me away. Absolutely blew me away. Because it probably, for me, the best thing I got out of coming over there, it gave me a newfound excitement about going to the painting business.
To
go build something better.
But that's what we want when you go to those things, right? You want to come back with more motivation.
We're in our bubble here. I'm in a bubble in Queensland.
Well, for us, it's like discovery. And even I'm sure it's the same thing here. You have the same cohort of humans, and you come to the events, and you see some of the same people. There's a huge benefit to that. But we're not super into new discovery periods in our life. We've crafted this thing around us, and our lives are about these innovation, but a lot of routines to make these things work that we've built. And to be blasted into a new thing where I don't know a single human minus my 8 or 12 friends that I know from there. And it's different laws, it's different people, it's different accents, and that's so energizing because we're not given that opportunity in our normal lives so much. So
true. That's so good. Today I'm meeting a couple of the painters that I haven't met before, but just little things like I follow you. I mentioned that, heard that. Love what you do, whatever. And I'm like, okay, tell me a little bit about you. Heard you were here, and they were like, oh, I heard you know Nick, and I'm like, yeah, I know Nick. Yeah, I know that guy.
We go way back.
For me in the gym to see you walk in, and then you walk in, it's like,
Oh, my people.
Hey guys, welcome to the Painters Circle, where we help painting business owners scale their operations, increase profitability, and gain more time freedom. I'm Taz Mullis, and in this podcast, I'll share actionable tips, expert strategies, and real-world insights that'll help you grow your painting business without burning you out. Ready to take your painting business to the next level? Let's go. Oh yeah! I came upstairs and told Kylie. And Kylie goes, what? I said, yeah. I walked in, I saw Nick. I felt rude, but hey, fist bump.
Yeah.
Took a photo. See you. What are the chances of that?
Yeah,
There's 300 painters in this hotel, and there's these three guys in the gym.
The three boys. Yes.
You should have seen the weights we were lifting.
And it's funny too because I saw Nick, and then we're all in our zone.
You're in the zone, yeah.
I had my headphones on, and I was doing my intent thing. As
you're doing your fancy. You're bending yourself up like this.
And
I'm in my zone. I'm like, wanted to say good day to, but I know what we're all like in that time in the morning too. And we're being little mentors or whatever. Setting up ourselves up for the day. But I'm so stoked you came over when you go. I was like, yeah, boy, well, okay, now I'm back into my zone.
You guys, I need a little more credit for coming up and saying hi. I'm an introverted, passive-aggressive guy from Minnesota. I don't make eye contact to be like, oh my God, it's Theo. He's here. I should go say hi. We'll catch up later. It took every bone of my body to stand over there. And then you were stretching over here like this, looking away. I had to stand there for like a minute and 15 seconds until you turned around. And it was like, my heart was pounding. It's like, it's all just human interaction was just so much. So
yeah. That's good, huh? But yeah, to see you two boys in there, though.
You couldn't plan that.
So we've got I don't even know how many. Couple hundred, but I don't even know how many people are here. But
about 300, 350, yeah.
And then the only other two painters in the gym in the morning
when it opened.
It was funny. I had to wait for that damn thing to open up because I've been, my times are a little off, and I've been looking for stuff to do between 2 and 6 in the morning.
So, I told that story to this other guy today. I was like, look, I'll tell you something that I witnessed this morning. I do my little thing about setting myself up, and one of the guys that I mentor, and I'm like, remember when I told you, how you can really set your day up. Don't wake up scrolling, doing all that crap. Really think about what you want to achieve that day, what your goals are. Check in with yourself, how you feel. All these little different little things. You need to say a couple of things, a couple of little mantras or whatever, keep you on your same goal, do it, set yourself up properly. I was like, dude, I walked down there this morning. There's Nick, another legend. And then there's Taz, another legend, right? 2 legends doing the same thing, what we're doing. And that really sets our day up. And then, we were just chatting before about, the travel. Sometimes I'll come in late and then know I've got to be as best a version as I can of myself on stage. And the talking part's easy, right? Because we live it's our day-to-day talk.
Yeah.
We know our businesses. We know culture. We know this. We know that. We know our strengths in our business.
About it, yeah.
But it's being motivated and having the energy and being putting that passion out there. And it's just those couple little things that no matter what time zone it is, if I just go bang, it's whatever time zone, I wake up, go down the gym or wherever I can and just set myself up for the day. Bang.
It's critical.
Yeah,
it's critical. I've heard this before.
Say, don't go after your prezzo or after whatever and think, I need a quick hour nap in the afternoon. Then you're behind again.
Exactly.
Then you got to push through.
It's the
making it down.
Momentum.
Yeah.
It's the momentum.
Yeah. And it's super important. So anyway, stoked I saw you down there.
It's one of the things, and I'm going to be talking about this tomorrow, is the accumulation of all these little micro things throughout your thing, and it's not micro things like sitting around doing nothing or scrolling. It's the accumulation of what's important to me. Name those things, schedule your day around them, and listen. You're faced with a lot of adversity. Things come up that you need to deal with in business. You travel, you have a weird time thing, but it's listen. How can we just accomplish? I have a mission. These 5 things are important to me. How can we just accomplish those today? It doesn't have to be perfect. It doesn't have to look like it does at home.
Just chip away.
Yeah, exactly. I think I did a 17-minute version of weightlifting down there. I wasn't grunting. I wasn't doing anything. Yeah. I do a 28-minute version at home. And it's no, it doesn't have to be perfect. Just do it.
Just do it. And you know what? It's like that muscle memory thing. It just checks you. And it's okay, I've set myself up for the day. I didn't slouch around because I'm in a new time zone, and I got the job done. Really sets you up. Hey, I do want to ask you a question. That I think I mentioned this to you last time I was in the US, that really fascinates me over in the US that so many painting companies aren't owned by painters. Whereas we live in a world here in Australia where Taz and I, second generation painters, There's third generation painters. Everyone starts as a painter. You are a painter, but you were in a military background.
Yep.
Yeah.
Second generation painter like you guys. Yeah. Similar. So yeah.
Yeah. And, but I've, just been so fascinated by young up and coming kids that have been in primarily the sales function in an organization that then are trained in how to sell a paint project, win the jobs, and then they go out on their own, they start paint companies. I found it so fascinating. There's so many of the guys that I meet at those conferences. Sometimes me, I can't help myself talk about coding systems.
Yeah.
Square meters or square feet per hour per code, because that's my world.
That's inbred.
Right?
Yeah.
But they're like, whoa, no, dude, we just sell a job and then we sell it to a sub.
Oh, that sounds complicated. I just go do it.
Yeah. And I'm like, whoa, but it fascinates me that because that is a huge opportunity, in Australia, to have that attention that a blue collar business can be so successful. Whereas in the US, they know that, they honor it, they see opportunities like that. There's no stigma, I sort of felt, by being, you own a painting company. Whereas here we grow up the parents and this, you got to be a doctor, you're a lawyer, go to the military, do this, do
university,
whatever.
college.
Oh, he became a painter.
The pressure.
Oh, okay. All right. Interesting. No college, huh?
Yeah,
Wow,
yeah. And it's sort of like I don't know, it just makes us whatever. It's this funny feeling.
Yeah.
But then I go there and I'm so fulfilled because I'm like,
people are coming into it outside of it.
Well, it's the old thing of seek versus found, which we had talked about and at the board of directors level of the PCA for the last 10 years. And what you're seeing is the product of a decade of innovation and leadership. And it goes back 2 chairs before me in that started kicking this whole thing off. And it's a tale of 2 industries. And we, being second generations, is now a rare thing. 10, 20 years ago, the only people around were multi-generational. Like nobody was seeking this. Your dad did it, and then if you had a son, you made your son do it.
You made him.
And if you had daughters, you actually sent your daughters to college to get real jobs. You didn't force them to pay.
boys.
Yeah, but it's the tale of two generations, and it's our father's generation versus ours, and it's not a value judgment. It just is what it was. It's 50 to 70 years of a father just doing it and just having a truck and a ladder and doing some stuff. Rarely somebody would break through and almost by accident grow a big business. You talk about Gina Court's business in Denver too. It's like dad started painting houses. Next thing you know, they're doing data centers and water tower. It's like that's not a business plan. That just kind of happens. It's like there's opportunities that come up. And now what you're seeing is it's easy to reflect now over the last decade because we just like shake our fist at the universe. Like, why isn't this industry changing? Why is it this regressive sort of thing? Why is everybody think they have secrets in this? And all of a sudden, it takes somebody like you guys to go to the PCA to then say, look at all this entrepreneurship, look at all this. And it's like, you know what? Yeah, you're absolutely right. Like, oh my God, over the last decade, with the advent of social media, people are now seeking out this industry instead of, they are seeking it out instead of being plopped into it by their fathers and things like this. And so now when you look at the product of the PCA now putting young people on their board of directors who know how to use social media and are more entrepreneurial minded, and all of a sudden you take a look at an expo from 10 years ago, and this is very interesting. The first expo I ever went to was in New Orleans 10 years ago. It's going back to New Orleans this February. It'll be a great arc of time from my first ever to now. Wow. I'm basically off the board of directors. I've done the whole arc through the PCA. And the average age of the attendee has basically been cut in half.
Wow.
In 10 years. And now you're seeing the most aggressive, fastest growing, most interesting faction of the PCA is the women entrepreneurs and the Spanish speakers. And so when you think about this, like, if you would have said, Nick, 10 years ago, you and your knucklehead buddies on the board of directors need to turn this organization around, and we need you to have the age. We need you to get women and Spanish speakers involved. You're like, how in the hell? Like, we'll try. We'll give it a shot, but that's a monument. We're dealing with a 142-year-old organization,
that's structural.
A multi-100-year industry. Yeah. And when you look around, and the average age is 72, and there's a lot of secret keeping, and you're just like, it worked.
A lot of walls. See that? The secret keeping, that has been really the Australian, industry. It's
everyone's everywhere.
Everyone's been keeping tight. Limited collab, limited collaboration, limited, now we've got these forums like, Master Painters, Dulux Accredited, all
providing
these
providing the space
providing the
for people
space
to talk.
and where they feel safe to collaborate as,
It's
competitors.
always been difficult for me to understand because I remember by accident 2014 I fell into just doing small presentations. I love sharing it. Yeah. I was sharing how I marketed, how we did our sales presentations just 11 years ago. And painters come up to me, they still talk to them today and they go, why are you telling me? I said, because the more we share, the better we get. I don't know if what I'm doing is right. I want feedback. Yeah. Let's talk about things. Let's collaborate.
So you were saying then back then about, so it was like the tail end of 2 generations, but it was really the innovation push that really drove to where it is today. And I can see that happening here, Taz, now in Australia, because at the moment, painters still own painting companies. We don't have that emergence yet, like I am so in awe of over in the States, because people see the opportunity, and then that's when I don't want to say real, maybe that's the wrong word, but more innovation gets put in.
Well, you can look at the 10 years here. You can call it real innovation. I mean, with the advent of software, I don't have to tell you, 10 years ago, there was a couple people. I remember my first, I'm so sorry to cut you off, but my first expo, there was a booth where people were selling 1-800 numbers for painting businesses. Our friend did that. And it's it's like.
Look at where we're, you joking.
It's that is literally like, the tide has completely turned over. The lakes have turned over now. And it's all because of social media, and it's now attracting people, and we got a critical mass of people. And now it's weird. If you go to the PCA Expo and you still meet somebody who does an estimate on paper, you're like, whoa, how's it going? Like, I haven't met one of you in a while, So
true. And see, look, and still today we still have some that,
of course, yeah.
And I suppose that will possibly be the case as those generations. Yeah. But one thing I do like is like that real innovation piece, because we get these different minds that come into the space and, want to better the industry because now they're part of it, and then they grow it. And they ineffectively, they don't realize, but I see it, that together we're professionalizing the industry. And that's what gives me the passion. So that's why when I go over there and I see this push on non-painting people owning painting businesses, and then typically some guys would be like, yeah, that's not cool. I'm like, no, dude. That is seriously epic, because we want our industry to grow. We want it to see it being innovated, and we want to see it raising the professionalism of all our trades together. And when you've got these minds coming in that see, who are they? They're entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
They've seen
opportunity.
Opportunists.
Opportunity.
They've seen an opportunity in there, and they're taking it.
Yeah.
I want to see that.
100%. To that, the chairperson of the PCA is a woman who doesn't paint. And she's the finest leader this organization will likely ever have.
Yeah, and so she's a cool cat too.
That's the innovation.
She's so cool.
We're able to attract people like that into this thing. And I think you need to, what we fought for a lot of years was the critical mass. At what point does enough of this room need to be 20 to 40 and talk about business until the whole room turns over? And it got to be like, and it was a theory that we felt very smart talking about it, but we're not data scientists and we don't know. But our theory was somewhere between 10 and 30% of something in the industry needs a change, and then it all topples.
And then the pendulum shifts.
Yeah, and
because it's all happening. It's like buzzing beehive over here, and then you've got the old school almost like this.
Yep.
Hey, mate.
Transitioning out.
Yeah. And then you've got this whole little bubble ecosystem going, all frothers like,
it catches on.
Oh, look at this going, blah, 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 blah. And then it shifts.
And then I remember, just like any group of people, and this is not, I don't want to ever sound like I'm talking down about the industry, but you can talk about like a veterans organization, a youth sports team, or the painting industry. There's always a couple old naysayers. There's always just a couple sticks in the mud. And heaven forbid, I mean, we need to work very hard to make sure we're not those next people to stifle the innovation. Yeah, for sure. But pretty soon they don't feel like, they don't get excited about these things because they look around and it's like, we're having a Spanish-speaking event, and then the women entrepreneurs are here, and it's like you get a bunch of young people talking about, mental health and stuff, and all of a sudden they just don't feel it's an organism that kind of pushes out people who don't share your core values, and that's
interesting. They feel like out of the clique. They feel like
and it's like we love them. We want you to do this with us here, but if you don't feel welcome, this is where the industry is going.
Yeah, they've got core attributes that are so critical to the industry as a whole.
Wisdom, experience, things that we don't possess. So.
But But yeah, I see what you're saying there though. Like, they would feel out of the clique because but look, I'm really excited about what that next 10 years possibly now looks like for the Australian painting industry, because now that, I've understood what you just said there, that we're emerging into that.
Absolutely.
Right now. So
I think you're farther along than you think you are too.
And I've seen it at different events. I saw the NPA last couple of years, a younger generation coming through.
Yeah.
They're creating energy.
Yeah.
Just
Look at the crowd
talking about DA like 2 years ago in Sydney. The energy was so great to be in one of these events was in Sydney 2 years ago. The energy was super high.
Yeah.
There's a lot of young people coming. And I've seen the last 2 years, it's slowly coming in. It's attracting them to these events where, whilst oldies are, where typically we are at.
Yeah.
But
they handed out awards for the 25-year accredited painters. This has been here for 25 years. These are founding members. I talk with every single one of them, and they had the same core values and the same thoughts about innovation that we're talking about right now. So that gives me a lot of hope that, like, yes, we want the wisdom, we want the experience and all that stuff, but also we want you to come along with us in this journey. And it's a great example for all of us as we become the elders in the industry.
Yeah.
Okay, listen, we're not 23 anymore.
I know.
And me and my friend Jason Paris, we came into this industry alone, and it was wild to have a young guy doing $1 million of business and stuff. And now Jason said to me, one of the times we traveled last was like, I think we're like the old dudes now. We're like 40.
It went quick.
Yeah. Like, I think Jason's about 40. I'm 44. All of a sudden, the average age is now way less than us, and you're like, good.
Yeah, good.
This is great.
And I love seeing those young guys pushing through, and they're very successful, and they're not necessarily painters. So it's really inspiring for me to see that next generation, because I want to see the industry flourish, and I want to see innovation, really kick into gear. So yeah, it's super cool. Really super cool. There was a speaker today mentioning a lot about AI, and I can be honest and say as well that, it's on everyone's tongue in the US, and everyone's integrating some form of it into their business. And I agree with the speaker there today saying that, Australia is one of the slowest countries to adopt it. It gives me new hope every time I go to the States, because we are beating a drum on innovation here, trying to get everyone even if it's not obviously my bias approach with paint practice, whatever, even if it's not like something, implement some form of tech into your business. I'm not even talking AI. I'm just saying, just have a scheduling program or have a quoting tool or have something that you can implement into your business. And then I go over there, and then it's like far beyond that.
Yeah.
It's like, how am I automating workflows? How am I integrating AI here and there? And I'm like, thank you. Yes. And it's really, really warming for us as Australians to see not only we like-minded, but it's what we're looking forward to.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about more about there is so much integration into that AI space over there. I'd really like to know more about like where it's effective in the painting industry. Do you feel it would be mostly effective for those, your typical smaller companies where they're still building their systems and sometimes it's a little bit overwhelming for people to hear about AI and what is it, what's it going to do? I've always sort of said to them that, just the simple things, just start with simple things like, just like in a personal assistant. But I'd like to hear your thoughts on it.
I have a very unique data point with all this stuff. So I travel around and do the master's classes where I basically just share basic information from my business. I broke a business down into 8 parts, and I just kind of section it out into like, here's the things you need to know about estimating and things like this. And when I travel around, we do anonymous pricing experiments of the same projects. I've been doing it for 5 years, and I keep an index, almost like, like a consumer price index. Like, what does the cost of a loaf of bread do over 4 years or during quarters? I do it for a wall project, a cabinet project, and a full exterior. And I keep indexes for major metro areas all over. And it's all anonymous. So painters feel this is still a place where they feel their secrets and stuff. Yeah. And if I feel there's any innovation in the industry, it is kind of like my pricing model is the only thing I don't readily just give out. Because it is sort of like a weird competitive advantage in some way. It's the biggest barrier. But I keep this price index. And I say all this because the most interesting thing with the advent of AI is that I can show you all the data that I have from all these major metros from all over. With the advent of AI, I've started doing a real live experiment where I'll pull up ChatGPT or Claude, and I'll just say, I'll throw a picture, that slide that everybody estimates. I'll put it in there and just say, what should you charge for this? It is about 48% more accurate than professional painters in giving a standard profitable price for a painting job.
Wow.
And it's really interesting because I try to go in a incognito browser, or we can even do it with somebody else's from there, because obviously if I have my reference model on my thing, it'll just of course. But you can take somebody from the crowd and say, the next good question is, and where do you get this? And it'll say, well, the PCA has this sort of thing, or there's this dude named Ask a Painter, or these it'll reference stuff that we've been putting out there. So what's been interesting to me is that I would then theorize. I kind of close out this class with saying, here's what you guys did in real time with these estimating things. And there's typically between a 60 and a 92% price difference in prices in the same room between like-minded people who took a day off to do it.
60% difference.
Nationwide, it's 94% for the same jobs. Between professional painters who are attracted to people like us who will take a day to do this.
Wow.
AI does not do that. And then so I close it down by saying, listen, I'm going to be very honest with you guys. Like, you in the room who are thoughtful people and everybody else, this entire industry would change overnight if everybody just walked up to a house, took a picture of it, fed it into Claude, and said, what should I charge for this? Overnight, they would be more profitable.
Wow.
Based on where the industry is
leaving
now.
Money on the table and undercutting themselves, but not even realizing it.
People don't understand that you can reference all the collective knowledge that Claude or ChatGPT can get, including 10 years of Ask a Painter, the PCA standards, all the reference books and production rate books and stuff. If you just load up a picture of something and do that, obviously it's going to hallucinate once in a while. It'll still be better than the 94% delta between professional painting contractors.
Wow. That's really interesting.
It's wild. It is absolutely wild.
That is huge.
And nobody's doing it.
And, would you say that was like they're estimating what they've been taught, how to estimate? Or would you say it's that they don't understand like measuring and then estimating hours? Or would you, or is it because they're
having spoke to, let's talk about the Australian market, hundreds and hundreds, I'm talking hundreds of painters. For the most part in Australia, it's what they believe. You can give them the metrics.
But because they just rock up and they're still using their gut feeling.
Yeah. Well, they're using their gut feeling.
2 guys a day. Or that
correct.
Takes,
and it will be, the dollar value will be based on what they believe is a fair, there's no science. They're capped by them.
There's no mathematical.
You could give them the exact numbers.
You're not saying this is the production rate. No,
they'll discount that and say, you can't charge that because you'll never win a job. And they'll default back to that
But
price.
yet they don't know what their success ratio is.
No, they don't. No, they don't. So it's a huge mindset.
Wow.
Huge mindset. I spend so much of my time trying to help them move away from that because the numbers are there. ChatGPT is there. Maths is there. They'll discount it because they don't feel like that is the right number to charge. I'm talking about Australian painters. This is legit. The conversation I've had so many times with painters. But when you show them the numbers, we can break down the business and go, it's a negative 10% return in the year.
Yeah.
So continuing this way just does not work. Yes, but I can't charge that. I said, okay, we got a problem here because we got business.
And you know what? Maybe that's why that some of these young entrepreneurs are very successful painters.
They're not attached
because they're all about the sell and knowing that they're trying to get them, and they're doing the upscaling. This is our base. Do you want to get the premium product? They're upselling, and all these little tactics that I see this US.
They're not so much attached to the fear of not winning.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's. I don't want to burst your bubble of what you think about the US because we like to think very highly of ourselves too. So I don't want to dismantle that. But at the same time, honestly, a competitive advantage in the last generation of painters is being able to be found, answering your phone, and not being a crook.
Wow.
That was a competitive advantage. The competitive advantage now, I'm being honest, it doesn't even go into strategy or vision. It goes into I've job costed. I keep track of how many estimates I do, what the average job size is, and what's the percentage I win and lose. And then I kind of make adjustments based on data, like the most basic data. If a paint business were to come to you and say, I'm having problems, you would ask them 4 to 6 questions and it'd all be database things and you could get a pulse for that business. Yeah. If you do those 4 to 6 things now, that is the competitive advantage. I've job costed. I keep basic metrics on sales.
Wow.
That's it.
Wow.
Then you see the guys, you've met the people who have rocketed way past that.
Yeah.
Then you sprinkle in the most basic dumb strategy to the moon.
Yeah, to the moon.
It's the 80-20. You've got to nail that 20%.
Yeah.
You've got to nail that.
Yeah, it's super cool. Look, I'm always loving it when I go there because I just love hanging out. I always have so much fun when I'm over there.
There's so much to learn.
The PCA, man.
I actually had two of the guys, I think you know, Brandon and Jesse, come see me at our our surf comp before we then hightailed back. We had a great time. It was super cool, and I've made some super cool relationships and made some lifelong friends now. But I'm always looking forward to coming back because it's just so much fun. And you know what? Every time I'm there, I always learn something. Every time. Always constantly learn something where I can take back home and go, hey, do you know what they're doing over there?
And I'll meet someone. And I'll meet someone. I met a great guy, Tom from Philadelphia. Connected with him. Amazing conversations.
Yeah.
I either learn something or meet someone I want to keep having conversations with.
Yeah. I'd really like to continue that, you know, build the gap between nations.
When I was on the plane here, our executive director, Jill, say hi to Theo. Tell him let's get in contact shortly. So I was like, all right, I've done my mission now, Jill. I'm good. I have done. Yeah. I found Theo.
It's official. It's official.
Yeah, no, that's good.
No, but you're a huge fan, and I don't think like you are always so complimentary, both you guys, of the United States market and the people there. But you have no idea. Like we huddled as a board of directors, and you're like, these dudes from Australia. Like I thought they were just like. We get a lot of people beating around the bush. We would love to attend. We would love to. You guys got on these planes and showed up. You're like, here. Oh my God. We were so honored. We're like, this is wow, we got something going on here. Like, we get a guy like you and you to come to these.
Oh, man,
like
that first one, I come back, told the boys from the Master Painters, I'm like, oh, you guys are all got to come with me on the next one. We're doing this.
That was a big one.
That's so cool.
Well, listen, we always have to keep our egos in check. And the board of directors does that to each other very well. You guys know them, but boy, you could not imagine. I walked into that old boardroom like, man, look at all the Aussies we got. Like, listen, it's the hardest place to get on the face of the planet. Like, we have to be doing something interesting because guys like you would not just, we'll figure it out. You wouldn't go to some ragtag conference or something. So, but we were really proud that, like, again, when you look around, you see the women, the Spanish speakers, and the youth, and then you guys. It's like, guys,
we're doing something.
The mission, the strategy, and the vision that we talked about, there is something to it. And it takes so long to enact.
Do you struggle with a plan in your painting business that's fast, clear, and specific? Our Game Plan Builder turns your chaos into a tailored plan. It's built fast, it's built for you, and it's built to move. Check out the show notes for your copy and download it today.
I mean, a decade long with 3 board chairs and 2 executive directors and all this.
See, look, without being rude, if I had rocked up and it was an old boys club and everyone was sitting there like that, I would have went, yeah, that was shit.
Oh, no.
You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be rude, but I rocked up there, entrepreneurs, buzzing people.
Energy.
Excite.
Like froth, everyone's,
everyone wanted to chat and talk.
I'm like, dude, this is epic.
You can't manufacture it, and you can't make an ad for a PCA Expo that will generate that in people. Those people have to bring that. You know what?
We need to get like a little camera crew and just be like, ask me what I think about the piece.
Dude, listen, we know you guys are big advocates for it, and so we specifically dropped the of America because listen, Canada and Mexico and everything.
There's everyone there.
Our third in line to the board is a Canadian, you know, so it's like it didn't represent everything there, and we have no aspirations to take over the world, but the more that all of our board members traveled and went all over the world, it's like there is not on the margins. There's some difference in how we talk and some labor laws. Mm-hmm. There is no difference in what we do and the things we think about.
And that's what makes it so rewarding is because you generally collaborate and learn things. Yeah, there's labor laws. Yeah, there's different things, but we're still doing the same thing. Yep. We've still got a sales, team. We've still got an operations team. Yes, they still, we've got to eliminate the distance between those two departments, and then obviously there's so much to the marketing side of things as well. Whereas I learned so much more over there in America because they're so savvy at marketing.
Because our economy forced us to be we've been tracking this and at a national level we've been really leaning into this because I'm sort of like I like to oversimplify things sometimes, and I feel like the painter economy is a teeter-totter that waffles between leads and labor and the ease at which you get them or the cost at which you get them. Mm-hmm. And I feel like in 2004, with all the indexes and all the talking to other people, I feel like that teeter-totter started to slowly go, and then it shuddered, where we were in a 15-year period where labor was almost impossible to get. It was just hard. We just had to fight and fight and fight to staff up. We were being drowned in leads. And it used to be an old refrain, oh, these stupid people keep calling me. They won't leave me alone and let me paint. Meanwhile, there's no good people. And we couldn't scale up businesses. Wow. And then something we came out of COVID and everything changed. And I saw, I keep a lot of data in my companies like you guys do. And I saw my leads in spring get cut in half year over year. And the big quest for all of us then was, as a, this is at the point where I'm the chairman of this board. We got all these people. Like, if I feel it in my business, I went to all the people you guys know and love. Yeah. They had similar data points in businesses that were all bigger than the $20, $30 million businesses. They said the same thing. Leads cost more. We're getting less of them. Yeah. Labor's pouring through our back door. And so for me, if my oversimplified theory of this, if both of those data points go in that direction, you're like, okay, something has changed. And at my own business, we shifted from recruiting to marketing, basically just recruiting clients versus that. It was a good bet. And we started putting out education in the industry because the economy forced us to now, after 15 years of never really caring about marketing that much, we had to.
Now you had to position yourself.
Yeah,
in the
exactly.
Leader, yeah.
And so that's what you see between the marketers and the innovation that we have and all of the strategies and the channels and the visions and all that other stuff. That was a product of necessity. It was there. It was demanded.
That's what probably comes back to your point there before. If you just showed up on time and given a conforming bid, you're going to get the job potentially.
100%.
So there was less of that competitive environment because your walk-up start, we would say in Australia, like if you just show up and actually bid the job, because there was obviously a labour shortage, they couldn't even keep up, and they couldn't obviously keep up with bids. Now that's the other way around. And that swings into the marketing, which makes sense about where we've come from to where we are today.
And I believe that it is the responsibility of a big, nationwide nonprofit that serves the industry to be like, hey guys, pattern detection. Like, what are you guys sensing? And because we are the Switzerland of this, we are a nonprofit. We're we're not a vendor to the industry, so we can stand here and say, Chris Elliott, Maggie Kuiper, Jason Paris, give us. What are you seeing in data? Yeah, and I don't know that they'd feed it all to a vendor. They'll definitely feed it to a nonprofit.
For sure.
Because we know we're going to turn it in good. Like, hey, guys, we should probably put out some more marketing content or education based on this stuff. So
this is the pain points at the moment for the industry. This is what we need to work on, of course. And it's not a non-competitive data, right? So we were just talking about that on a previous conversation downstairs about, what is non-competitive data? You know what I mean? And it's things like that we should be sharing and collaborating. There's no colluding. It's basically going, hey, are my cost per leads rising? Are they coming in thick? How's the labour at the moment? We're hearing unemployment potentially rising, but I feel like there's still a good labour pool. Some industries have less labour pool than others. You know what I mean? So I think that non-competitive data we should be sharing more of.
I think so too, and. What's really interesting is when, I love listening, like we listened to an economist today, and we listened to, somebody who's very entrenched in the housing market that knew the ins and outs of how the macroeconomy worked. And while I love that stuff, we have to be very careful. And I'm always very forceful to tell people that, like, when a painter comes up and says, my business is suffering because of the war in Ukraine, and I will say, okay, we can talk about this, but you're going to have to make you're two people in Arkansas. There's a lot that has to happen for that conflict. Like, yes, things happen in the world, but to reach your business where you don't advertise and do anything else, it's kind of a leap. Let's talk through this together. So while I love that kind of stuff, we also have to put it in the realm of this is interesting information, but a business like yours will and likely will be affected by that sort of thing. But if you're a small residential painting company in a rural area, it's very unlikely you're going to be affected by even a microeconomic trend. Literally, if you just get up and call 10 people, you now have 3 jobs. There's not going to be a president turnover or a political election that's going to probably do that. So that's why I feel like taking the non-competitive data and saying, listen, this is nationwide data. We can talk about macroeconomics. There's very good trends here. And on businesses on very large scales, big commercial painting company, yeah, if Amazon decides not to trigger their big,
data centers,
exactly, then it's like that might affect you.
But
for everybody else, that's interesting information. Let's understand how it works, but then let's also say, like, let's be real and say what is actually stopping you and things like that. So,
And I heard a couple of whispers there today that, when the economist was talking, that the guys that were sitting next to me were like, well, have you got anything good to say? You know what I mean? Like, it's sort of like that, look, shit's happening all the time, right? There's always shit happening every time. We don't build the chessboard where it just keeps coming out. We're just navigating through these. But let's focus on the positive.
Look for the opportunities. There's always
Look
opportunities.
for the opportunities. Yeah. I agree with what you're saying. Like, yes, there's life happenings and global life happenings. Are they going to affect probably the two guys that were sitting next to me? No.
Unlikely.
Unlikely.
I'm open to hear your reasons, but it's that's a lot.
Yeah, and like even the guy said, like it's a short storm, right? It might, like he's like saying that. Okay, then they're predicting that it's going to come down 10 basis points before Christmas. Okay, well, after all that doom, you want to drop that one little piece of positivity right at the end, and that's only 7 months away.
I know.
So you gave us all this doom. And then for 3 seconds at the end, but they're saying that it's going to come down by 10 basis points.
But for 15 years after 2007, after we had the Great Recession and a housing crisis in the U.S.,
GFC.
There's like I've never heard economists be like, "Holy crap, boys, this is great."
No.
Oh my God, it moved out. Hell yeah!
They've been out of business.
It's almost but at that time, labor was hard to get. It's like we have a problematically low amount of employment. It's like unemployment is too low. It's like, okay, guys, can you just but there is always, and I think what that speaks to is that when you have something as complex as the economy, there's always this. And one thing goes up, one thing goes down. And it's like we always want to talk about the doom and gloom, just like how we focus on a negative YouTube comment. But it's like for every one that goes down, there's equal amount of levers that go up. Like, oh my God, there's things that go on in the housing market where all of a sudden, like, the economy could be bad, but it'd be the best time to invest in real estate on the face of the planet. Totally. There's opportunities and everything.
That's what you look at. From being a consumer of major fear to being a consumer of positivity for a change, and going, hey guys, shit's hit the fan over there, but you know what that means? Over here, the grass is green, and if you guys have got a bit of a piggy bank stacked up, there's opportunity to be made over there while this shit's going down.
While everyone's distracted too. Everyone's distracted over there. Wow, it's an opportunity because everyone's looking at that thing. Let's look at this thing.
That would be all time. But unfortunately,
I did hear something interesting that I've heard now from the largest paint manufacturer in the U.S., which I also heard from that mortgage guy today, which is in times when it gets tough, you go grab market share. And it's something that I really didn't understand for a lot of years. When you hear a big manufacturer say, crap, we're not going to blow it out of the water with sales this year, but what we can do is we are taking every client from somebody else that we can, or somebody who's not our client, we're going to go out there and get them. And I'm beginning to understand that a little more, of just battening down the hatches. And like, if the pool isn't growing, you need to now you need to grab a little more of that pool.
I like to play this game in our business. If we're talking about offensive and defensive, you can't play defense all the time. You can't protect. Because when it gets a bit negative, people want to protect their patch. The problem is, you protect, someone will come and
drag you. It should be opposite.
It's the opposite. You have to go a little bit offensive sometimes. Otherwise, you stay stuck.
Yeah.
But it's natural because fear kicks in, and you go, well, I'm going to cut marketing costs, or I'm going to cut back sales. I'm going to cut costs here. But you have to go out.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like that, I talk to some people. I'm like, oh, did you work for that company for how many years? That you like, and you don't even work for the other sides of their business. You've got so much opportunity there. There's so many little things that to get more market share that you've already got a proven name, you've got relationships, and you can just extend that a little bit more, and then all of a sudden, but then it's
And getting back to your point about the marketing, I think for us, we noticed after COVID, leads did come down. Correct.
During COVID?
After.
Straight after.
Right after. And then we just, okay, what's going on here? And I felt there was a shift between, once upon a time, I've been doing this for a couple of decades, like you gents, that a lot of skill set was in the sales component. Leads would come in, sales, we worked on the sales component, relationship building, finding what they want, we spent a bit of time there. And the shift with social media, this is my theory, and all this thing happening at the moment and going forward, the sale is done before you rock up. The marketing, the content, they've done their research. Other than the price with the AI, which I agree with is the next step, other than the price, people are going to start coming to us. I want to know how much and when. They know why, who, what we are, and everything we stand for, and we double down in marketing. They've done the research, so we've been doubling down in marketing to pre-indoctrinate.
Yeah.
So the marketing spend has gone up significantly, not just for leads. It's not about your leads. It's educating the market out there because, let's say, it was 20% marketing once upon a time, 80% sales skills. I think it's going to shift. I think it's going to be 80% marketing, 20% sales skills.
Yeah.
I think there's the shift.
Brand equity is definitely
it's
especially
and it's
this social world.
The distractions. And it's and price maybe AI will solve that. So the next thing when you can do it.
Yeah.
And then
it's weird. Like one thing that that pricing index that those anonymous pricing experiments sussed out was when you have a 94% price differential between the good ones, it leads to confusion to a client. And then confusion leads to inaction. Yes. And so you spend all the time on our estimates proving you're not a crook instead of proving your value and differentiation in the house painting world. Mm-hmm. And so that's because people always think, and painters, if you queried the room, you say, what's the biggest problem about estimating? What do you charge for something? Because everybody has this feeling, and I did once, if you say the perfect number, the sky opens up, rainbows are here, money drops from the sky. Every client says yes. And it's like, price is only like one component. Yes, you have to be within that value kind of like bracket area. Yeah. And then you have to prove yourself to not be a crook. But like the price isn't the end all and be all for most of this stuff, you know?
No.
So it's just but painters hyper focus on that. And basically, like, I don't have a website, but all I do is focus on price. It's like, well, how do you even get opportunity? How do people find you? You know? So.
One thing else that really fascinated me in the US was that we're such a labor high, like directly employed labor resources here in Australia. And there's just so many companies that are built in the US that use subs. You know, we call them subbies here. And it's, there's a lot of really amazing businesses that in the US and very sustainable, profitable, and they have their really tight crew of subs, look after them, grow their businesses. Like it's win-win. Like everyone's
it's almost like staff.
Yeah, it's almost like staff, right? It is. But it's that level of risk that's eliminated, by having the sub. And I like that model because everyone's accountable along the way. And you can build great businesses together, with that model. Here in Australia, we can and can't. Like we can to a certain degree, but it's really tough because if you work in the Tier 1 environment, you're definitely not allowed to do any of that subs. You have to have directly employed employees.
Is it because it's implicitly stated you will not be allowed to do this, or the qualifications are such where it's impossible to get a subcontract?
You will not get on any Tier 1 project if you have subcontractors. It's you have like agreements with the unions or Fair Work Australia or whatever. You got an employment agreement. That's how you're going to employ. And typically you wouldn't. We've got things here called pyramid subcontracting to eliminate say us winning a project, subcontracting it out to a subby, and then that person then subbing out again.
And it just keeps
going, and then so all the profit gets cut all the way down, and it's sort of like a mechanism to eliminate that. However, I found that, for some of these guys that I've watched in the US, they've been able to scale their businesses
way faster.
Oh, so God, I believe that there should be some sort of framework to, ensure that, protect the subs as well, but the scalability that I've seen some of the smaller businesses that I know that businesses here can't do that because we have to go through the process of procurement and training and, expectation, blah, 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 blah. But when you've got these little small sub crews, they're efficient, they're quality because they know they won't get another job after it, and they deliver like back-to-back good work because they're little micro businesses within the larger organization. Scalability through the roof. So for me, it's fascinating because there is so many good businesses that do not have any employees. They may have a couple PM like project managers or
admin or something.
Some form of administration and quality control. Of course.
Not operational.
But not actually running frontline management or apprenticeships or tradespeople. So somewhere in between, I would really like to see Australia shift towards that. I feel like it's going. I know probably some people that might hear this might hate me for saying it, but the economist was right. Like, we do have a productivity issue here. I feel like if we went back to those days, because back in the day, I remember when my dad was painting, there was lots of subcontractors like PPS or whatever.
Pre-2000.
Yeah, it was like old. Yeah, it was like ABNs or whatever. All that time
structured.
Yeah, back then. So there was lots of that same sort of model in the US where there was like micro subs everywhere. And, it was a really good model, I sort of felt like back then. I don't know, I was probably too young to understand what was right or wrong. But we can't get that scalability if we don't have access to that, because, for us in a tier 1 environment, it's different in a repaint. Like repaint, you can do that.
Yep.
Mum and dad stuff, you can do that. But again, when you go and sell, the Australian market's pretty savvy, and they're like, are you going to subcontract it out, or are they your direct employees? Whereas it's the norm over there. Like, people know that that's going to happen, but they still go with the brand equity because they know that they don't have to engage in the sub. That brand equity is going to manage the sub. So
there's built-in trust where it's like, listen, if I order something from Amazon, it's coming from overseas, but every time I complain, Amazon gives me my money back.
Yeah.
So I keep ordering from Amazon.
That's right. Yeah. And so it's a safe environment, whereas I feel like in Australia, like, still emerging into that. But I'd like to see more of that. I feel like here, I reckon, yourself, Daz, like, you can build a scale like really fast if we had the more ability to use that model.
But it's a great incubator for young businesses too, because what businesses like. The tale of painting businesses, at least in the United States, from what I witness, is you somehow get introduced to the act of painting, and then you either stay with it or come back to it because you do. You're just there. Right. Yeah. And you come into it, though, with the mindset of an employee painter. You're not thinking, okay, once I file with the government and go out on my own, I have HR, legal, technology, and all this. No, they're like, I'm just going to paint, but just charge more. Never thinking about the requirements of running a business. And so, like, naturally, most people biologically are a little more high D on the DISC profile. They're good relationship people, salespeople, and they're also very good, proficient technicians. So just like you said, I can paint really fast and I can sell jobs. Great. That's a great business model until you add some humans.
We're halfway there.
If it's only you and doing that, I can sell and I can paint. Huzzah, making a lot of money. Yeah. Now I'm going to just do this with more people. But you're not a marketer. You're not a manager. You're not any of this stuff. And it just completely falls on its face. But when you look at every one of my trade partners, the people that we have 13 of them that we partner with, they're exactly that, which is they don't have a marketing arm. They don't have either the proclivity or the knowledge or the experience to go get jobs themselves. But they would never be employed. Like they're making too much money doing
they're in between.
And they're in between. And one of my trade partners last year was paid $550,000 just from their contracts with us. That is a great deal for us and a great deal for them.
That's all time.
And what a great incubator. And that's
what I like.
Our main trade partner now, I just realized in talking with him this year, he's starting to invest in real estate. He has a holdings company now where he's having investment properties.
How's epic is that?
And it's like, this is great because he just partners with a business like us. I have no problem risking all the money on marketing and following through with it and doing that. I enjoy it very much.
Knowing he's going to deliver.
And knowing that I can never recruit enough humans. We're known for apprenticeship. I can't make enough painters to service the jobs that I have. And it's basically two Lego pieces that just join up like that. And it's like, it's a great incubator for him. It's a great incubator for me. And
I think it's win-win. I like that.
It is win-win.
Because it's exactly what happens. We lose people from our shop because they've been with us for a long time or whatever. They go and start their own businesses, but we want them to work for us as straight away because we don't want to lose them. But it's a great incubator for them to start learning the ropes of actually
one of our best subcontractors came to us specifically because he's never been formally trained. We put him through the apprenticeship program, even as an experienced painter, and he said, I got a timeline, 1 to 3 years. 2 years later, he went off on his own, pulled him aside. Instead of, we showed you all the secrets, what are you forsaking me? How dare? It's like, dude, how much work do you want? Because we've now trained you. You're a core value match. We made our own subcontractor.
That's all time.
Yeah, and it's a great...
The expectation's clear. He knows exactly what you expect. He's going to deliver.
And you know what? He's got his own jobs, though. Only, from what I can tell, maybe only 20 to 30% of his work even comes from me. So he can get out there and even the people who can get the jobs, maybe you still can't fill a calendar. He wants to scale a business, but he's still not there with the marketing. You know and love us. We know and love. It's just a great it's a great partnership.
It's win-win. Yeah. Every business that I come across over there that I get intimate with and understand their business model, and sometimes sit in their operation meetings or whatever. And I've done that quite a few times now in the US. I'm fascinated. Obviously, we've already mentioned it's the same tone of voice. We're talking about the same shit every day. But I love that it's still a family model. We pride ourselves on, having, these trade partners, subcontractors, whatever. It's still our family model. But it's win-win and everyone's winning.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I like that because productivity is high, Yeah. We eliminate the issues that we get from no productivity, which then, stops us doing what we want to do.
Yeah, that was an interesting, and we're taking in podcast from America, taking in media from America, taking in social media from America. Our default setting is innovation, just crazy innovation, productivity. The stock market's breaking records, and it's a great reminder to travel around and say that's not everywhere, and it comes with its own things, right? The biggest problem for a lot of us at the national level is how do we use AI to the highest capabilities? There's some places that are we're going negative productivity, and so it's it's a good reminder that be grateful, but also the things that we focus on are a product of our economy at some level that,
Yeah.
So
we have been going negative productivity for a little while. Just our productivity on sites and for all different reasons has been tracking in the not the so good direction.
it's always labor though, right?
It's just a labor. Yeah, it's just a labor issue.
Because it's not your ability to execute. And
it's just a bit of red tape here and there, a bit more safe. Not that I'm saying safety's not important or anything but sometimes it's just there's a lot of stoppages on jobs that are unnecessarily.
Flow.
Yeah, and people navigating the new, legislations and all different types of stuff, and procurement's one thing, but then actually, shifting through and then actually getting rid of people to allow the opportunity for more people to come on because they didn't actually pass their, onboarding or whatever their probation period. That's a mission in itself. So
it's huge.
Yeah, it's all these different. It's not one silver bullet, one lead bullet or whatever you want to call it. It's been all these lots of things, but now it's starting to open up again. Now Australia's the word productivity is known now that Australia hasn't been.
It's being spoken about a lot.
Yeah, now everyone's all right, we got to pick our productivity up as a country. That's what I'm saying. When I see you guys over there, productivity is high. You've got quick access to resources.
We got to fire up these marketing systems, even feed this damn machine.
That's right. Yeah, see, with us, it's the opposite way. But it's interesting though.
But there has been. I don't know if you guys have felt this too. I like to talk about the two generations of painting because I came from one, and this is my life. Of being raised in the most horrible possible way in this industry, seeing it through, and then now being there, witnessing my friends do the innovation in the industry is a wonderful thing. But there has been a clear differentiator, and I think we all got this hangover in the Benz period because in my father's generation, somebody would get a job as a painter and they would just stay for 20 years. You're just loyal. You just get a job. You wouldn't quit a job. Why would you move companies? You get a job and you stick with it. And that was the entire probably 1940s to 1980s in the United States where you would I had family members, uncles who would get out of school and their goal is to get a good job with a good company that took care of you. So you'd go to the postal sorting facility for 32 years. They'd hand you a watch at the end. You hated every day of your life, but you're not going to quit your job. So there's this whole like my father, when he would get an employee, it would be it was this thing of you would do this. And this is way less of me saying kids these days are stupid and they quit jobs all the time. I'm saying, I think we took it for granted that we had all these great loyal people who would just stay around just in those jobs.
Yeah.
And then, the Gen X and millennials started coming up, and then COVID hit, and the last dying breaths of loyal employees were done after COVID. You saw quiet. I mean, the word quiet quitting showed up, which is I'll take this job and I'm just going to act like a jerk. until they fire, and so you saw it shift from be loyal, and it just shuttered the other way to like screw these employers. And now it's like it goes too far both ways. But I saw my father's entire generation and even me at that starting point take for granted that people would just stay. And now we're dealing with, we need to make a better value prop. We need to take care of people. Huge. And, we start talking about mental health and disc profiles. My father's generation, disc profile. What are you going to find out? This guy can't leave. He won't leave. They just stay with me for 20 years. So I think there's been a huge, I don't know if you guys felt something similar here, but it's been a monstrous thing that not many people talk about. I still think we're coming to terms with what it means. Like, what do I owe employees? What do employees owe us? And I think we're figuring it out. But subcontracting has distracted us from doing that final reckoning of what has to actually happen.
Yeah, I think that's been a big focus for a lot of companies in Australia, is getting that culture right. Because, when you in a high performance area, you get burnout and people then, don't like it. And then you family culture, we've had this discussion before.
I've heard you talk about that too.
Entitlement issues, this, that, whatever. And it's like you just said, there's a balance between it. And I think we're all starting to work it out, I think businesses today know that you can't, you can't expect, we all want high productivity, we all want, high performance, but we do have to nurture, and we do have to have that family side of the business. And they're the businesses that have got that balance right. They're the ones that are going to the moon. Because you talk to any one of those people at work or not at work, they are highly proud of their company, huge advocates, and they're like the beehive mentality with their protectionism of the company they work for, because they're like, nah, dude, I've got work life. Like, our company is all time, looks after employees, we win together, we learn together. Like, you see that in businesses. And then you got those other ones that are like, no, I'm going to, rock up. And then that business doesn't have the right leadership.
There's a difference between not hating your job and loving your company. Those are two very different things.
Totally. Let's have a beer then, we're done. They've been sitting here.
I didn't know they were there.
I didn't even see those there. Which one are we? Cheers, gents. Good to see you, Nick. Good to see you, Taz.
Hey guys, if you got value from today's episode, make sure to subscribe so you never miss expert tips. If you want some support, check out the link in the show notes and see how we can help you. Don't forget to follow us on socials @PainterCoach. Stay cool, be well, and as usual, see you in the interwebs. Bye.